The Great War was done in 1918, but the outcome of America was yet to be seen. The Roaring Twenties brought riches and fame, but the setting in Europe was full of shame. Bolshevik revolts caused the first Red Scare. Unions weren't commies, but the fear was there. Sacco and Vanzetti were convicted of murder by a jury whose prejudice was only pushed further because they thought their beliefs lacked certain fervor. They were executed without a life preserver. It caused another rise in the KKK, whose dirty deeds had never gone away. Emergency Quota Act of 1921 restricted immigration except for some. When the quota got filled, it put Europe in a pickle as the immigration slowed to a quiet trickle. 1919 marked the prohibition, started alcohol's abolition. Although the Temperance Society was on a mission, the feds took bribes as it was tradition. Between home brews and bathtub gin, gangsters smuggle alcohol and can't be pinned. Al Capone faced frustration and was put in jail for tax evasion, and Lindenberg Law came to be. Interstate abduction faced a death penalty. Rates in education were reaching new heights, but between church and state there were many more fights. A professor from the state of Tennessee was condemned for teaching Darwin's theory. The monkey trial is his claim to fame. The clash between science and theology remained the same. The roar of the 20s lasted 7 years, led by consumers and tech pioneers. Andrew Mellon favored capital investment to him. Buying on credit needed no assessment. Manufacturing soon mastered its production, and the rise in advertising made its introduction. Movies starred Chaplin, Lloyd, and Buster Keaton too. Babe Ruth was king of baseball, but that's nothing new. The horseless carriage became a success when Henry Ford made a model that could master any test. Although the cars were cool, they used up fuel, and Americans could not give up the transport jewel. Finding more crude oil only added to the craze of a need to speed across the USA. Setting sights to the sky, many wanted to fly, but the power of a kite could only mystify. In order to harness the power of flight, things had to be done in a way that was right. Airplanes became the right way to travel once the riddle of flight had been unraveled. Technology improved, way to go, especially long-distance radio. It knitted the nation back together, making news and entertainment that much better. Along with films made in Hollywood, the success of talkies did a lot of good. What's a patchwork of cultures, America combined, to have the same tastes and a hella good time. Many moved to the cities, a place to be enjoyed as they looked for jobs so they could be employed. Margaret Sanger only did good, campaigned for equal rights and Planned Parenthood. As girls gained the votes, flappers entered the scene. With short hair and dresses, they were viewed as obscene. With a one-piece suit, wearing makeup to boot, Freudian beliefs were seen as the root. Outside America, others would gawk. Europeans called it sex o'clock. The Harlem Renaissance hit its stride. Blacks in New York full of racial pride. Poetry, jazz, religion too, and the fight for rights was just a preview of what was to come in a later decade, stressing black power, and they have it made. After the war, writers faced frustration to talk about life as the lost generation. Mencken Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway. William Faulkner wrote Soldier's Pay. Anderson and Lewis about small-town life, and Dreiser wrote about a massacred wife. Poets at the scene with Robert Frost, and E. Cummings was unorthodox. T.S. Eliot, Cush by Ezra Pound, their influential poems are still around. Eugene O'Neill wrote Strange Interlude, and Frank Lloyd Wright was a pretty cool dude. Many investors went from rags to riches, rolling in the dough, getting plenty of ladies with the Wall Street market. They were stocked and bonded. From buying on margin, a crash responded. After a great war, the economy roars. They kept asking for more, and then ended up poor. Stay on your seats before I answer questions. Tune in next week, The Great Depression.